Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's edition of the Weekly Wrap-Up. I'm Hayes Brubaker.
And I'm Jessica Lee. On today's show, you'll be joining us in our conversation about this week's biggest headlines in the news. So let's start off by talking about the Israel-Iran conflict.
I know we're starting off on a bit of a low note, I guess, but Iran launched a massive missile attack on Israel on Tuesday.
Yes.
The attack consisted of 180 missiles, and this is the latest in a series of attacks between the two nations.
I remember it being on the news for like hours.
Yeah, it was like the big story of this week.
Yes.
There was a lot of videos. This is just a little screenshot from one of the videos, but there's some pretty disturbing videos of the bombs going off, or of the missiles hitting the ground, basically.
But we don't want to go too deep into this story because it's just so complicated.
It's very complicated, and it's too much to cover in our little show, but we just thought we'd give you an update. And if there are any developments with this story, we'll be sure to give you updates.
But anyway, on Tuesday, J.D. Vance and Tim Walz had their first and only debate.
Yep.
Watching it, I was really impressed. Honestly, they handled it really well. They appealed to the middle ground instead of feeding into, the dramatics of a normal debate that we normally see. So,
yes, yeah. I'm very actually impressed with these two. I thought it was going to be just like the main presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, just yelling at each other and things like that. But they were very civil, and I'm impressed. And I'm glad that they talked about policy. Like way more than even like the presidential candidates talked about policy.
I know. It's like they're going to be running the White House.
I know.
I'm happy that they agreed on a lot of things too.
Yeah, it makes me a little bit more optimistic. Sorry, not to cut you off, but it makes me a little optimistic.
No, a lot of positivity in here. They agreed on things like housing policy, some immigration policies, a lot of policy.
Yeah, a lot of policy talk. So I guess it's not as exciting for like the people that are looking for drama for these debates, but in regards to what a debate, at least what I think a debate should be, this is more of along the lines.
I was looking for drama. When I was watching it, I expected them to be like siblings who were fighting, like taking their parents' sides. But yeah.
Is that all we got for this week?
That's all I have to say.
We're not going to go too deep into this story either because it's
a lot of headlines.
A lot of
this
stuff.
Week.
This is a big one. This is a big one. This might actually affect like general people. Most of you have probably heard, because it's one of the biggest stories in the news right now. From Maine to Texas, all the ports have been shut down due to a port strike from let me get this name right, the Longshoremen's Association, or the International Longshoremen's Association. It's a union that represents all the dock workers.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of union strikes recently.
Yeah, and this one
is just adding to it.
This is just adding to it, and this one represents roughly 45,000 dock workers. So it's a pretty substantial amount of people, and they're having some pretty crazy demands.
How do you think it's going to affect us?
So what could happen with this is, because they're asking for such a high number in regards to their pay increase, they're asking for as high as 77% increase in their wages, which is crazy. But so what this means is it's probably going to take a long time to resolve this between like the union and the workers association, or like whoever's in charge of them and getting their pay. Right. So what could happen is like the prices of our goods could start going up. There could be supply issues. If they really keep the port shut down for like months, it could cause a lot of issues, like even in our grocery stores and with our gas and things like that.
I hope my Shein package still comes in.
When did you order it?
A while ago.
Oh.
Maybe it's already coming into effect.
Hopefully. Hopefully not. Hopefully you get your package.
Another concerning story was that the New York mayor was facing additional charges on top of the many that he's been fighting. I know that he was, denying many of them, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
I think he pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. And Go ahead.
The investigation, it began in the summer, and it's still going. And it's about like bribing. Yeah. He got in trouble for bribing.
But the investigation began before he became mayor, right?
Yes.
That's crazy. And they still...
The past always comes back to haunt you.
It does. It does.
Poor guy.
I don't also have too much to say on this specific one as well, but I'm honestly not that surprised that the New York City mayor's somewhat...
There's a lot going on in New York now.
Yeah, there is.
Diddy. We're not talking about Diddy today.
No, we're not talking about Diddy today. You might want to tune in, though, for the next episode of Xavier and Jessica Unfiltered, because they're going to be covering
some Diddy
stories, maybe.
Yes, I hope so.
But is there anything else we want to talk about the New York City Mayor?
No,
or is
I
that
want
it?
to head straight into our happy story.
We have a fun story to wrap up the
Yes.
show here. NASA has a mission to Jupiter scheduled to launch on October 10th aboard a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket.
Yes.
And the goal of this mission is to investigate Jupiter's moon Europa.
Beautiful moon.
It is a very beautiful moon. And to determine if the suspected ocean underneath the ice surface is suitable for life.
Yes.
So that's very exciting stuff.
It's really exciting because I am a strong believer that there's something out there.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier.
Do you think there's something out there?
I mean, I think most likely what's going to be found first is like maybe small bacteria and things like
Bacteria,
that,
there's
which is not super exciting. But I think that's going to be like the first step in them finding things.
My
But-
conspiracy is if they wanted us to find them, we would have found them.
Already. That could be true. That could be
But
true.
I still want to find them.
I do as well. I would love it if like a UFO appears over like the
Yeah.
White House or something. That'd be crazy.
The White House.
Yeah, like just breaking news. But this trip will take 6 years to get from Earth all the way to Jupiter. And there's like a short little window for where like they'll be able to launch this rocket. So like if they miss this window from like October 10th to I think a little bit later, like closer to November, if they miss that window, they have to wait a whole nother year for like
Oh
the
my
planets to
gosh.
align so that they can launch this rocket.
Well, fingers crossed. I want to
Yeah.
see this.
And if they do end up launching it on October 10th, you might be able to see it since we live in Jacksonville.
I know. I'm so excited. Well, that's all we have for today.
Yes, it is.
Make sure you check out Inside Swoop on Facebook and Instagram to find more details about the stories we covered from our amazing team members.
Yes, and thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of the Weekly Wrap Up. I'm Hayes Brubaker,
And I'm Jessica Lee.
and we'll see you next week.